Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Happy Friday. It is Denise Salcedo. You're here on F4W Online. You are watching Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is March 10th, and we are here to talk about both Smackdown and AEW Rampage. And man, I am in a great mood, everyone. So just a heads up, this time, next week, I will be at opening night for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, and I'm so freaking stoked. So yes, next week, just a heads up to everybody, I will be here on Tuesday to talk about NXT. I will be here on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. I will not be here next Friday, so heads up, everyone. There's something in my eye. Whoa. Okay. Heads up on Friday. I will not be here because I will be at the Taylor Swift concert opening night, having a great time. So just a heads up on that for those of you who tune in next week and are like, where the hell's Denise? But we got this Friday's edition of Smackdown and Rampage to talk about. And let me tell you, we got some things to get into, especially on the Smackdown side of things. We got our first Hall of Fame inductee. We also got, we're finding out more about WrestleMania. I got some theories, some predictions based on what we saw here today. And then we also got some items to touch on for Rampage. So we are going to get into that in just a second. But just a heads up, everybody, if you want to help support this podcast or get your question, your statement, your opinion read here on this podcast, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat at any point whatsoever. So let's get to it. We actually got our first super chat from Steven777. He sends a message saying, Friday night hangouts with Denise are the best. Is Rey the first active performer to go into the Hall of Fame? And can we expect an angle that night with Rey Mysterio? So let's kick things off with what I would consider probably, definitely the biggest news of the night, definitely the biggest news from SmackDown, from everything, and that is that the first inductee for the 2023 Hall of Fame is Rey Mysterio. So I know there's a lot of people going like, man, he's still an active member. What does this mean? What does this mean? So there's kind of a lot that I want to touch on in regards to this. So first and foremost, I'm going to tell you, like, when they said that they were, going to announce the first inductee for the Hall of Fame, there was, a lot of talk on social media about who people thought it was going to be. And so, nobody, I don't think anybody, at least I didn't see anybody predict or report that it was going to be Rey Mysterio. So I feel like it really came as a huge surprise to a lot of people because I didn't see it like anywhere on social media. Like I didn't see anybody bringing up Rey Mysterio's name. So when Rey Mysterio was announced as the first inductee for the Hall of Fame, dude, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I kind of felt a little bit emotional with that one because, obviously I feel like, I'm a big Rey Mysterio fan. I feel like everybody here, or at least most of everybody, big Rey Mysterio fans. It's like when it comes to Rey Mysterio, God, I don't even know where to begin. When it comes to Rey Mysterio, there's so much that I want to touch on. Like, obviously, everything that the thing that I want to touch on first and foremost is that Rey Mysterio revolutionized this sport, guys. He is somebody that his influence and his style, the way that he went into the ring, everything that he did inside the ring, the way that he wrestled, everything, the high flying stuff, all of it, everything that Rey Mysterio is revolutionized this sport. Okay. There are so many guys that were guys and gals, that were influenced by Rey Mysterio. There are so many wrestlers. If you ask them, who is it that, made you want to be a wrestler? Who made you want to be a wrestler? Who inspired you? Rey Mysterio. He helped launch this whole new style. And on top of that, we're just that's just me right now talking about speaking American wise, but on top top of that, he also, changed stuff in Mexico as well. Like he changed the game in Mexico as well because initially, guys that were Rey Mysterio's size, they weren't used in these like prime top positions. Like they were used in the undercard. They were, used as minis. Like he was going to be a mini if it wasn't for Conan, because Conan was the one that basically told Antonio Pena, like, you need to not have him as a mini. Like this guy is going to revolutionize lucha libre. And so thankfully he wasn't made into a mini. Like imagine had Rey Mysterio been made into a mini. Like it's crazy when you think about like the things that could have happened. But anyways, so Rey Mysterio legitimately revolutionized the sport in so many ways. And then on top of that, you also need to talk about his mask. His mask is one of the most recognizable mask that there is when it comes to lucha, and definitely in the United States, the most recognizable lucha mask for sure. Like you see it everywhere. Like you see it in sporting events. Like how many times don't you see like people having like their team colors, but the Rey Mysterio mask? You see it everywhere. So it's something that is so unique, and I just feel like everything that Rey Mysterio has done, we had the moment where everybody was chanting, "You deserve it" today. And while so many people deserve all of the things that they get, in this particular moment when Rey Mysterio was getting the "You deserve it" chants, I'm like, bro, if anybody deserves it, it is Rey Mysterio. So that is kind of like the first portion that I want to get at in terms of like how important it is that Rey Mysterio is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But on top of that, what I want to get at is some theories and some predictions here, because look, there's two ways that I'm looking at this. First and foremost, we got to think about the vicinity of where all of this is taking place. We are getting, WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles. It's a 2-hour drive from San Diego, the 619. So clearly it makes a lot more sense for Rey Mysterio to be inducted in this WrestleMania. Like getting inducted anyplace else in any other city that's not here, that's not here, it would kind of just not be, I don't know how to explain it. Like it just means a little bit extra more with it being here, right? But then that makes you wonder two things. So I think, and I feel like this is kind of, it's hard to say, but I think we're getting closer to Rey Mysterio's retirement. That's like kind of my theory, my prediction here. Now, I don't know if by retirement, I mean happening at WrestleMania or happening down the line. I don't know. I have a feeling that I have two feelings. So either Rey Mysterio made it known to the forces that be that maybe he's going to be retiring soon. And they were like, okay, if we're going to induct him, we might as well induct him now in Los Angeles because, all of the other WrestleManias are going to be someplace else. That's one thing. The other thing that I'm thinking about is like, what if, and I don't know, this is just a theory, but what, you never know, like this could be like his, I don't even want to put it out there, but what if this is like coming up at WrestleMania? What if it is Rey Mysterio's last match? I don't know, man. I just have this like slight little tiny feeling where what if, after, like, let's say we do get Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, right? It's just Rey versus Dom. What if after the match, Rey Mysterio just hands his mask to Dominic Mysterio? Like, what if, guys? I don't know, man. Did anybody else think about this? Because I kind of feel like it was one of the things that it just kind of hit me where I'm thinking, oh my God, I feel like this is almost the end of, Rey Mysterio's run or whatever. And it kind of got me thinking like, shit, if you're going to do it, why not do it in the biggest stage at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles? Now, I'm not entirely too sure. So this is just like my gut feeling right now. But I guess we'll see what is going to go down, what is going to happen. I also want to talk about the fact that I don't know, and someone, if you in the chat remember this, but I recall there being some sort of trademark for Prince Mysterio. So I'm wondering if that's what we're going to end up seeing with Dominic Mysterio down the line, and maybe a lot sooner than expected. So that's something else to think about. On top of that, I was thinking about, who would be the one to induct Rey Mysterio into the Hall of Fame. And honestly, like, I know that because of the terms and because, they're not on good terms or, all of the stories and everything, I do think that the perfect person to induct Rey Mysterio would be Conan, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So I'm assuming because Vicky Guerrero is reportedly wrapping up with AEW, I could see Vicky and Chavo being the ones to induct Rey Mysterio. I don't know. Those are just a couple of theories all around about the Hall of Fame induction. So let's get some thoughts in here. Let's see what you guys are saying. But thank you so much to Steven for kicking us off. I'm right there. Let's see what the vibe is in regards to this. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay. So let's see. Sam Fine says, I would shoot cry, especially as I'm gonna be there. I don't know, guys. TDI7 says, I honestly don't think the mask is gonna come into play. Well, it already has. It already has come into play. It's been part of the story where, Dominic Mysterio hasn't been respectful of of his father's legacy. He hasn't been respectful of the Mysterio name. Remember that match with Santos Escobar when Santos Escobar was having him stare down at the mask and trying to get him to respect the Mysterio legacy, and he wasn't. And then afterwards, he like rips it apart. It technically has come into play already, but I don't know, guys. Major Blood sends in his thoughts saying if Dom dons the mask and becomes Prince Mysterio, then he'd have huge shoes to fill. I don't think he's ready for that if it's sooner rather than later. I don't think so either, guys. Like, when it comes to it, I don't want to see. Personally, I wouldn't want to see the Rey Mysterio mask with Dominic. More in terms of a symbol of him, like, if he just hands him the mask type of deal, and as a symbol of I'm done, then okay, I would get that. But I wouldn't want it to be like where Dominic continues wearing it. If he's gonna do a mask thing, I would like it to be like, I don't know, a totally different mask or something. But man, I don't know, guys. I feel like something is going to happen, because if not, why would they be doing all of this here? So we'll see if, what happens. All right, let's see what else we got here. This is from Dante NYC, who says, he definitely deserves it. Strange, though, if he's being inducted, you'd think they'd want his son to say a few words, but looks like they're working the angle. Wonder how they're going to do it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because it is happening, obviously, on the Friday, before WrestleMania. So it's not like if Dominic Mysterio can go out there and be like, this, and that, my dad. But I don't know what they're going to do, guys, because we did have more. Obviously, with we ended up having a match today on Smackdown between the Judgment Day and Legado del Fantasma. And so the Judgment Day does get the win. Dominic gets the win for his team, for his group, whatever. And after this, we do get a confrontation again between Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio. And Dom is pretty much pushing him, once again, trying to get Rey to fight him. Rey still doesn't want to fight him. And he even goes as far to say that at the end of the day, I should have been Eddie's son. Bringing back that whole storyline into it. So this was pretty funny in terms of him saying that he should have been Eddie's son, because according to him, Rey Mysterio was a deadbeat father. Regardless, guys, like, the fact that we're getting the Hall of Fame induction, I don't know, guys. It's got me thinking, like, what the hell is going to happen when we see what I'm assuming we're going to see, which is Rey Mysterio versus Dominic. Now, this hasn't been made official yet, but that feels like the obvious direction in which they're headed for this particular WrestleMania. RS sends in its thoughts as well, saying, I don't think Dom interrupts the Hall of Fame speech. They'll do an angle to make sure he's not in the building or something. I would hope not. I wouldn't want to see Dominic Mysterio interrupt his Hall of Fame speech. I definitely wouldn't want to see that. I feel like there are certain, but here's the thing. Personally, for me, I think there's certain moments where you kind of just want it to be what it is. And when Rey Mysterio gets inducted and has this, time to do his speech and all of that, I legitimately just want to hear what Rey has to say about his career. I don't necessarily want an angle to be taking part in this, but I feel like it wouldn't be, I could see them doing it, though, is what I'm trying to say. I can see them definitely making it into an angle. Like maybe after 5 minutes of Rey Mysterio talking, all of a sudden, Dominic does something, I can definitely see that happening. I would prefer for it not to, because I would just want to get a straightforward, respectable, and classy Hall of Fame induction for Rey Mysterio. You can do everything else at WrestleMania, but for the actual Hall of Fame, I wouldn't want an angle. But again, I do think that it'll happen. And everybody's kind of agreeing here. I'm seeing everybody saying that they want to hear Rey talk. Exactly. You just want to get him talking about his career and, everything, right? So there you go, man. I'm so excited that Rey Mysterio is being inducted into the Hall of Fame, guys. Like, I'm freaking thrilled about it. But we got some more WrestleMania stuff. So we ended up having, as you guys know, the Fatal 5-Way, which included Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Karrion Kross, LA Knight, Xavier Woods in this match to determine who was going to go on to face Gunther. Now, everybody here, we were talking about this last week, everybody was pretty much thinking, okay, we're going to get Sheamus versus Drew versus Gunther. And I remember saying, like, I'm good with either option, guys. Like, I don't care if we get Sheamus versus Gunther, Drew versus Gunther, Sheamus, Drew, and Gunther. I don't care. I'm good with any of those three options, right? But if you were to say, hey, Denise, which one do you really want? I'd be like, yeah, obviously the more the merrier. Give us a 3-way, right? So they ended up ending this match with a double pin. So both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus get the double pin. So I'm thinking, okay, this is great. We are going to be getting that triple threat match at WrestleMania. But then instead, we ended up having a segment backstage where we're seeing Drew McIntyre and Sheamus, and they're arguing about this. And then there's another segment where Gunther approaches Adam Pearce and tells him, he starts teaching him about, freaking plurals and shit. He's telling them, I'm here for, a singular opponent, singular. Like, I just wanted one opponent, right? So then Adam Pearce, to calm down Gunther, is like, okay, fine. Next week on SmackDown, we are going to be getting Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, and the winner of that match will then be your opponent at WrestleMania. So now, here's the thing. I still think because of the way that they did the double pin here today, and because of the way that Gunther was so upset about having to face two people at WrestleMania, I have a feeling we are still going to see that 3-way. I think they're just trying to, take us down a different path. But I definitely think we're still going to get that 3-way. And at this point, I'm like, y'all teased it already. Now you guys better do this 3-way because you teased it already. You got our hopes up. So I still think it's going to happen. I don't know. Some predictions, people are like, okay, maybe there's going to be like a double count out, a DQ, or some sort of silly ending that is going to lead to both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus somehow being in this match. And I really hope that's the way that they go, because I think it'll be a lot more entertaining. So let's see what we got here. But we got pretty much everybody here seeing the exact same thing in terms of it being a triple threat, preferably. We got a super chat, a very generous one here from RS. Thank you so much to RS, who says, do you think they get the tag titles to Ronda and Shayna to lead to a match with Liv and Natty or Liv and Raquel? I can't see any other way you get Liv on the show. I'd prefer that than Damage Control working twice. So let me think about this, because obviously you got, you have your tag team champions in Becky and Lita, and, they're going to, do that 6-woman tag from the looks of it. In terms of Ronda and Shayna, here's the thing. Like, I feel like you can still do the tag team match without having the tag team titles involved. So I feel like regardless, you can still most likely get Liv on the show in that manner without the tag team titles being involved. So I don't necessarily think you need them. And I do feel bad for Liv, though. And I've said this before, but I do feel bad because I feel like she worked so hard, and, she had such great moments last year, winning the Money in the Bank, becoming SmackDown Women's Champion. And I really hate that the feud that she had with Ronda Rousey ended up kind of being a stinker. And I feel like that kind of impacted everything else that they've kind of, had her do. I almost feel like they're not I almost feel like they're holding back on keeping or maintaining Liv Morgan at that championship level, like dealing with the main title, the main contenders with the women's division. I keep feeling like they keep pushing her down a notch. And it kind of sucks because I do think that Liv Morgan should be, I would honestly look, I know Asuka Bianca Belair is going to be an awesome match, but I feel like Liv Morgan worked so hard and all of the accomplishments that she did last year. I would have really liked to see Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan, quite frankly. And it's one of those things, and I say that because also like the storyline right now with Asuka and Bianca necessarily hasn't been the hottest thing on the show, in my opinion. It's been okay, but it hasn't been like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm mainly just excited for that match because I know it's going to be good and I know I'm going to get some great in-ring action. But I think that they could have probably done a little bit more in terms of storytelling with Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. Like, I do think Liv Morgan could have gotten an opportunity like this versus instead possibly being shoved into a tag team match. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I do think Liv Morgan deserves a good spotlight on the show. Stephen Marchuli sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Stephen, who says, would you open WrestleMania with Rey versus Dom? No, I don't think I would, guys. I don't think I would. And let me look. Hold on. Let me pull up the card really quickly. WrestleMania 38. Sorry, guys. I have a lot on my mind. I can't just memorize everything right now. But oops, WrestleMania 38. Wrong WrestleMania. Jesus Christ. Okay. So, based on the matches that we have right now, let's see. Night one. So far, we know for sure Seth Rollins, Logan Paul is going to be night one because Logan Paul announced it on his podcast. And then the other matches, obviously Roman Cody, main event. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, most likely going to be a main event. Then you have Bianca, Asuka, Brock Lesnar, Omos, Gunther versus possibly Sheamus and Drew, Austin Theory, John Cena, and then the 6-woman tag. Based on these options, the ones that we have right now, I would kick off WrestleMania with Seth Rollins and Logan Paul, or Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew. Honestly, those would be the matches based on what we have officially announced right now. And I say officially announced with the Gunther match not being officially announced. Like, we know the Gunther match is going to happen, but even if it's Gunther versus one person, I would still put that match as an opener. I think that would be a phenomenal way to kick off the show because I don't know, like, I just feel like those would be the types of matches that I would want to see open up the show because to me, obviously the opener has to be, something that's going to get the crowd super fired up and excited and like, yeah, let's freaking go. And what better way to kick off a match with either a fast-paced match with Seth and Logan or a hard-hitting match with Gunther and whomever. So that's the way that I see it. But I wouldn't put Rey and Dominic at the opener. I would put it someplace else. Thank you so much, though, for Steven for sending in this super chat. All right, so let's go ahead and press on from here. So after this, let's see what we got here. So really quickly, since we are on the subject of WrestleMania, I forgot what show it was on, but Becky G was announced to be performing America the Beautiful on night one. Well, we officially know who's going to be performing America the Beautiful at night two, and that is Jimmy Allen. Jimmy Allen, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Allen. Look, I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. I hate to be this person. I don't like being this person. I don't like to be the who's that person. I really hate being that person, but I legitimately do not know who Jimmy Allen is. Like, I legitimately do not know. Becky G, I do know Becky G because, she's pretty. I follow pop music very closely. And so I'm always, seeing the pop girls and who hangs out with who. And I mean, look at me, I'm wearing a Lana Del Rey shirt and my show is named after Taylor Swift. So like, I know these girls. And so I see Becky G very often and I see her, mix it in with these girls and I know what she's all about. And I feel like Becky G was a great person to have singing America the Beautiful. She's also, she's Mexican American. She's from Inglewood. To me, Perfect. Jimmy Allen is a little bit different in terms of like country music doesn't necessarily, when I think of Los Angeles and I think of like Los Angeles performers, I don't necessarily think country music right away. And I don't listen to country music. And I don't want to shit on country music because Taylor Swift came from country music. And so, and Shania Twain, and I love them. But other than that, like, I don't really know much about country music. So it's an interesting choice for that audience. I mean, obviously it's America the Beautiful. Everybody knows America the Beautiful. So you can literally sing any type of genre of music and still do America the Beautiful. It's not like we're getting the Hardy performance all over again. But I did think that, look, when it comes to LA, my thought on this is, to me, this is the easiest WrestleMania to book like some really hot artist because they all live here. Most of them live here. They get to drive like an hour and they're there instead of having to fly somewhere. Do you have any idea how many artists there are down here? I just feel like there's so many options. So anyways, but again, I don't know Jimmy Allen, but you know what? Good for him. I'm excited to hear him sing America the Beautiful. But yeah, I didn't know him. All right, so we got people saying I don't know either of them. I love Becky G. Look, I'm rooting for her. I'm so happy Becky G is performing. And she grew up in Inglewood, guys. Think about this. I don't know how many of you guys know the area, but it's not a great area, okay? It's a low-income area. The crime rate, it's not great, okay? It's not great at all. But they have the Forum there. They have SoFi Stadium there. And with SoFi Stadium, it got very complicated in terms of how do I explain this? Like in terms of them, raising the prices, kicking the poor out, and this and that, and all of the stuff that was happening there. But regardless, Becky G being from there and then getting the opportunity to perform at, one of the, in freaking SoFi Stadium, that's huge. That's so huge. I can only imagine what that must feel like, getting to perform in the place that you were actually from. That's great, man. So there you go. All right. So moving on from this, we did get a quick match between the Viking Raiders defeating Ricochet and Braun Strowman. This was fine. Honestly, this was both teams brought it. The thing that I do want to talk about really quickly in regards to this is that they're finally doing more with Viking Raiders. And I'm so happy because one of my big issues in the past with the Viking Raiders, or, most recently with the Viking Raiders, is that they're so cartoonish and I don't like the cartoonish presentation. There's still some things that I would tweak. Like I'm not into into Valhalla doing the bewitching stuff and she's trying to bewitch Ricochet. I'm not into that, but whatever. I still thought that this match was very entertaining. Actually, there were some good moments, like Ivar going out there and doing that like splash onto Braun Strowman on the barricade. That was really fun. The way, and I say this all the time, but his spinning heel kick is always very enjoyable to see. And then him doing the splash on Ricochet and getting the win. I thought it was a nice victory for the Viking Raiders, and I kind of feel like they're turning things around for the Viking Raiders. So I was good with this. We got a super chat here from RS. Thank you so much to RS, who says, "Great job, Denise. Your tweet about Rey made me smile. True fan, yet still providing constructive insight. Rare quality these days. Have a good night." I appreciate that, guys. I really, really do. I really care about what it is that I say on here and what I contribute to this space. So I really do try my best to, not just on Twitter, but on these podcasts, to provide, just some good information or some decent information. RS, thank you so much for the super chat. It's much, much appreciated. Seriously. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. We ended up getting Charlotte Flair defeating Shotzi. Rhea Ripley comes through during this match and she tries to cause a distraction on Charlotte, but Charlotte still wins with the figure eight. Shotzi taps out. After this, we get a confrontation between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, and this was fine. It was very simple. They kept it very simple. It was Charlotte basically saying that she'll outwork anybody because she really loves this business, and then she tells Rhea Ripley, like, you always win and you always rip people apart, but you're not going to do that to me. And that was kind of it. I'm going to be honest, guys. I actually preferred the confrontation between Charlotte Flair and Dominic Mysterio from like a couple weeks ago because that was so freaking funny. This one was more serious and more like two alpha females just kind of like, giving us a taste of what we can expect, or rather a preview of what we can expect from them at WrestleMania. So I did kind of wish it was a little bit more heated in terms of what we saw here tonight between Charlotte and Rhea. I think they could have been a little harsher, a little meaner, but it was fine. I'm still looking forward to this match regardless. So, but I do think that there could have been a little bit more substance, I think, in the actual promo. I think it was a very quick, it felt like a very quick in and out type of thing. I think they could have spent a little bit more time, talking and maybe throwing some shots at each other or something along those lines. All right. And last but not least on SmackDown, we got Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso going out there, and at the top of the show, we actually had Paul Heyman meet them or greet them as they were coming into the building, and Paul Heyman tells Jey Uso like, "Hey, I'm proud of you. The Tribal Chief is proud of you." And as we know, Jey Uso turned on Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw, and so today he basically came out and he explained why he did it. The things you need to know. Jey Uso did not want to do it. He did not want to turn on Sami Zayn. This is what he said. The reason why he did it is because it's what you do for your family. And he says, and he's talking to us, the viewers at home, that we would have done it too if this was our family that we were talking about. And he kind of goes on and gives a couple of examples of things that we would do for our family and why he did this. He didn't want his brother to be clipped, and he, was not going to leave Jimmy Uso in that situation. And he says, I did it because I had to do it. And then he goes off and he tells the people, like, you guys don't know anything about me. You guys root for me and this and that, but you guys don't know anything about me. And then he turns it into saying that Sami Zayn is selfish, kind of reiterating a little bit of what Jimmy Uso had previously said when he had that encounter with Sami Zayn. And he says that Sami Zayn was selfish and that all he had to do was fall in line. And then Cody Rhodes comes out, and then they share some words, and it looks like it's going to be, Cody Rhodes is basically telling them, like, let's freaking go. You guys are here mentioning my name, this and that. Might as well do it to my face. And as he starts to make his way into the ring, all of a sudden we see Sami Zayn come through from behind, and what you get is Cody and Sami going at it with the Usos. So this was pretty much what we had here. I like this because you have, we're still making our way to we're still not at Kevin Owens wanting to team up with Sami Zayn. We're still not there yet. Cody Rhodes is obviously in this program with Roman Reigns. So you kind of had a little bit of both obviously mixed in here. And we've seen Cody Rhodes have Sami Zayn's back because he had his back last week as well. And I think the week before. Anyway, so I thought this was okay. Like I kind of thought this was fine. Like in comparison to some of the other stuff that we had with the Bloodline, obviously things have felt a little bit stronger. I didn't feel this segment was necessarily that strong, but it wasn't bad whatsoever. It's more so now my curiosity in regards to this, I'm more interested now in the portion between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like I kind of lost interest now in the Jey Uso Sami Zayn portion of the story. I'm more so interested now in how Kevin Owens is finally gonna, get back on board with Sami Zayn. I think that's a little bit of where my interest now lies with this. But we got a super chat here from Steven who says, what songs do you hope Taylor plays? Jesus Christ, I wish she could play all of them. All of them. I'm a big fan. I don't care. She can literally go out there and sing the ABCs and it will be like worth all the money that I spent that I'm still paying on my Capital One credit card. And the only reason I took out the Capital One credit card was so that I could be part of the exclusive Capital One sale. It's a long story, guys. It's a long story. Like Taylor just breathes and I'm like, here's all my money, everything. Thank you so much to Steven though for asking though. All right, so let's go ahead and press on from this. Let's get into Rampage, guys. We got a couple of things to talk about with Rampage, but pretty much it'll be a quick review, honestly. We won't have to spend too much time on it. It'll be pretty straightforward. But before I get into all of that, guys, just a heads up, if you haven't already, head on over to YouTube youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. That is my channel. That is my baby. I have officially surpassed 94,000 subscribers. I'm so freaking happy about that. And I'm thinking that I'm going to hit 100K after WrestleMania. I don't think it's going to happen before WrestleMania, but I do think that after WrestleMania, it will happen. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be very frustrated. But anyways, I do think it'll happen by WrestleMania. So head on over there. I have an interview on Monday that I can't wait to shoot and to post. I think you guys will really like the guest that I'm going to be having on Monday. I won't tell you guys just yet who that is. But additionally, you guys can check out some of my recent interviews that I've recently done on there. I spoke with the Hex from Impact Wrestling. You guys might want to check that one out. I spoke with Billy Starks. That one got a lot of love if you want to see that one as well. I also spoke with Action Andretti. Please check that one out, guys. Give it some love. Action Andretti is going to be a huge star. You guys saw him today on Rampage. Give him some love there. And then I just posted a brand new interview today, actually, with Gringo Loco. So for those of you guys who are, all up on independent wrestling, I'm a huge supporter of independent wrestling, guys. Like, I love indie wrestling. Indie wrestling is what really extended my love of pro wrestling. If it wasn't for going to those early PWG days, I don't know. I feel like being an indie wrestling fan back when I started watching made me into a bigger wrestling fan, period. And so I always want to make sure to be talking to these talent, to talk to these people who are out there doing incredible things in the independent wrestling scene. And one of them is Gringo Loco. He has an incredible story, guys. He's so passionate about Lucha Libre. I feel like that is definitely an interview worth checking out. And obviously, if you're a GCW fan, you'll probably really enjoy this one. But we got a super chat here from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you so much to Sheldon for this very generous super chat, who says, I feel bad for Shotzi because her match with Charlotte wasn't good. Anything she's done on the main roster has just been a complete miss. Not sure what was worse tonight, that match or the end of Rampage with Ruby, Tony, and Saraya. I didn't think the ending of Rampage was bad at all. So I'll talk about that. So here's the thing, guys, and I hate to say this, but look, I'm a big fan of Shotzi. I really am. I really like Shotzi, but I do feel bad because, yeah, a lot of the matches have been a little bit of misses. And it sucks because I think Shotzi, she's so cool. Her presentation is so cool. She does a lot of things that are cool. She's just cool all around, and it's so easy to get behind her. So I do kind of wish that they would maybe kind of protect her a little bit in terms of try different things to hide some of those flaws. The match with Charlotte, it wasn't great. It was just kind of like my whole thing when I was watching it. I was just thinking, okay, I'm ready for this to kind of wrap up, right? But I still think that it just sucks that there's been more negative reactions to her matches than positive reactions. And I think that kind of, impacts a lot of it. So hopefully things start to turn around for Shotzi, because I do think there's a lot of potential there. And, she was getting some great buzz on NXT. She always kind of does get some great buzz on NXT. So I think I would like to see some of that, shown off as well on the main roster. But we'll see, man. We'll see. I know this match wasn't great. But I didn't think the ending with Rampage was bad. So let's get into Rampage. All right. So for Rampage, let's kick things off with a rematch between Sammy Guevara and Action Andretti. This was a pretty good match. Pretty much what you saw with them the first time. But this one here, there was a spot from Action Andretti that I thought was kind of nuts. It was nuts because so he ends up basically doing like a freaking diving crossbody from the corner of from the top rope onto the table, but the one where they have their ring bell. And here's the thing, though, that may not sound complicated, but if you watch this, the thing that was complicated about it was that not only was it a far away distance, but the angle in which he had to kind of position himself to make sure to land that. Like, it wasn't like he was directly going like straightforward, right? He was kind of going a little bit to the side. So the way that he had to like really position himself to nail that was kind of cool. If you didn't catch that, go back and rewatch that little portion there, and you'll notice what I mean by the positioning of things and how hard it must have been to actually, make sure that that was nailed perfectly. But that was pretty fun to see. Sami Guevara gets the win again with the help of Daniel Garcia. I hope that they look, right now, the Jericho Appreciation Society is, it's the thing. They're the thing. And they're going into this match, this triple threat match with the House of Black and the Elite. So Sami Guevara winning here makes sense. Eventually, Action Andretti is going to have to get that W, get some revenge over Sami because they've been screwing them a little bit nonstop lately. So eventually, Action Andretti needs to get his revenge back on Sami Guevara. But either way, this was a pretty good match. And check out that interview with Action Andretti. But now we have the premiere of QTV is officially happening next week. Is when QT Marshall said it's happening. So he basically says that on the premiere of QTV that we are going to find out who broke in to Wardlow's car. Man, did they sell me a ticket on that one, guys. I really bought it. I'm still not even sure what the hell is going on with that, what the idea with all of that was. But we are gonna find out who was behind the stealing of Wardlow's things on QTV. So I can't wait to see that. I thought that was kind of funny, the way that they kind of got everybody. But moving on, we ended up seeing the Acclaim defeat Jack Cartwheel and Starboy Charlie. So I have one thing that I really loved and one thing that I didn't love. The one thing that I did love was that we got to see Jack Cartwheel again on AEW, because you guys know I'm a big fan, and Starboy Charlie. I love these two guys. They're two good kids, man. I don't know what to say. How I sound old, but they are two good young guys. There you go. Young guys who are freaking working hard and killing it. I've seen both Jack Cartwheel and Starboy Charlie so much in GCW, and I think they're freaking awesome. And you guys have been seeing a little bit more of Jack Cartwheel. He had that AEW Dark match with Konosuke Takeshita. I made sure to go out of my way to watch that. And you guys know that I don't watch AEW Dark, but I made sure to go out of my way and actually watch Jack Cartwheel versus Konosuke Takeshita because I could not miss that. And so anyways, I'm very happy. I won't be surprised if Jack Cartwheel is pretty much taken up pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. With that being said, the thing I didn't like about this match, and I've been saying it so many times now, is, and I just went at this last week, the problem with Rampage, guys, too many squashes. I'm so tired of the squashes, okay? I feel like every week we have one match that just is a squash. And to me, I don't like that because I feel like, and I get it, like I'm not saying like you had to go out there and give Jack Cartwheel and Starboy Charlie a bunch of near falls and a bunch of offense, but I would like to see a little bit more substance in these matches. I feel like there's too many matches where I'm like, why should I even care that it's announced on the card if I already know it's going to be a squash? I don't want that. I feel like there was a real opportunity here to do a little something more, to let them actually have a little bit more of a match. And I feel like every single week, if there's 4 matches announced, I feel like you can always eliminate one because you know it's going to be a squash match and that it's not really going to matter. So I do wish that we had less of that on Rampage, because that is one of the things that I kind of have been like a little irritated by, where I always feel like there's one match that just doesn't get, we just don't get to take seriously. So I do kind of wish we didn't see too much of that every single week. With that being said, happy for Jack Cartwheel, happy for Starboy Charlie. Wish we could have gotten a little bit more from this. And I know if we did, it would have been freaking awesome. But Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, the ending I'm mainly talking about is the spray can. Tony couldn't even make the L. It was just a line. I was like, did that can malfunction, or she didn't shake the can hard enough before using it? So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Look, I have not used a spray can like ever. Maybe one time in my life, okay? And I don't know what kind of skill we need for a spray can. I feel like you might have to if you press it too much, it might come out too thick, and then all of a sudden it's like doesn't even look like an L. But I get what you mean, because it's supposed to look like you're actually supposed to see what they're doing. I know that the spray can thing hasn't necessarily been a hit. I feel like I've seen more people kind of being like, oh, here we go again, versus people actually being interested and thinking that it's cool, because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be cool, right? So it's more so, I don't think it's working that way. It's not coming across as cool. And I think that's probably the issue. But thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for sending in your hot take. Or I don't know if it would be considered a hot take. I guess it depends on what everybody else thinks. All right, so let's press on from here. We ended up getting a match between Konosuke Takeshita and Preston Vance, and this wasn't bad. Honestly, there was some fun little moments in here. I thought Takeshita hitting that lariat on Preston Vance was good. Gets him with the rolling discus elbow. That was good too. At one point, Jose, the assistant, gets involved, and I'm like, okay. Preston finally hits Takeshita with a clothesline. He goes for the pin. It's a near fall. Finally, we get Preston getting Takeshita with a full Nelson. He gets out of it, and we end up seeing Takeshita get the win. So it wasn't terrible. It was a fine little match. I didn't mind it. It was fine. But the match that I absolutely loved, and that is the main event, ladies and gents, the main event. Ooh, let's get into this, guys, because the main event I thought was really, really good. And this is from John Dollar, who says, or Dellar, excuse me, who says, really thought Nyla versus Riho was going to be the squash. So did I. So did I, my friend. I really thought that. I don't know what I thought. I wasn't really expecting much from this match. And let me tell you when I felt that it completely over-delivered. I want to see Riho, Nyla Rose, a couple more times because they have some really good chemistry. I was super into this one, and obviously, you have the size dynamic. Nyla Rose is a lot larger than Riho, but it works. Like, it definitely works. And there were some good moments. We got a couple of near falls. We see Nyla at one point do the senton. But I don't think she got Riho with it though. But then my favorite moment of this match, when I went, oh shit, and I literally had to rewind it a couple of times. I watched it like 3 times, and it was that Northern Suplex spot where Riho got the Northern Suplex on Nyla Rose. And when it happened, I was like, wait, did I just see what I saw? It was one of those moments where I thought I didn't see it. Like I made it up in my head or something. I'm like, wait, rewind. That was really impressive. Nyla got kudos to Nyla, man, because she had to get extremely light for that. Like for her to, make sure that to basically, get over. So Nyla, man, kudos to her, because that was really freaking impressive, and it made Riho look phenomenal as well. So good spot right there. Nyla kicks out from that. Then there's a moment where Nyla hits a cannonball, but she gets nobody because Riho moves out of the way, but it still looks sick because Nyla went full force. She does her cannonball and then gets nobody, so it looked pretty cool. And then Riho went for the crucifix bomb, but because of the size difference, she really wasn't able to execute it perfectly on Nyla, but it added to the match though, and it added to the fact that, Riho's a lot smaller than Nyla. So I didn't have a problem with that ever at all. Marina Shafir slightly interfered for a bit, but it wasn't enough there. Riho eventually wins with roll-up. So this was fun. Afterwards, we had the Outcasts, which are Tony, Storm, Saraya, and Ruby Soho. They come out, like Sheldon Jackson says, with their spray can and spray paint Riho. And poor Riho, she clearly has no friends because nobody came out to help her. And here's my thing. This is my, you know what? Now I'm agreeing with something with Sheldon Jackson. Yes. And you know what, Sheldon? To add to your point, this is my thing. So I didn't have an issue with what the spray paint looks like. No. My issue with this is more so of the fact that it has been established on the show that Ruby, Saraya, and Tony are coming after the homegrown AEW women. Okay? It has been established. We know this. So, shouldn't the AEW girls make some sort of a pact? Like, hey, man, if I'm out there, I got your back, you get my back type of deal. I feel like, Riho going out there and getting her ass whooped and by, she's being outnumbered and nobody came out to help her. Like, if next week somebody else is getting their ass kicked, if I'm Riho, I'll be like, nah, I ain't gonna help you out. Nobody came out to help me. So that's my gripe with it. My gripe with it is, why didn't anybody else come help out Riho? You're telling me there was not one kind-hearted woman backstage that could have came out and had Riho's back on Women's History Month? Not one woman could have had Riho's back. Man, now that I think about it, I just worked myself into a shoot right now. Just kidding. But anyways, I think that would be my little irritants with it. But regardless, I love that match with Nyla Rose and Riho. It was very, very fun. So there you go. Also, the last thing we need to talk about on the show, this happened right before the main event. Mark Briscoe announced what is going to be happening with the Ring of Honor tag team titles and how they're essentially going to crown new champions. And basically, he announced the Reach for the Sky ladder match. This is very nice. And so the ladder match is going to basically crown the new Ring of Honor tag team champions. And it's going to be held at the Supercard of Honor show in Los Angeles on March 31st. And so far, the team that has been announced to be part of it is going to be the Lucha Brothers. We still don't know who else is going to be in it, or I don't even think they mentioned how many teams are going to be in it, but for sure, the Lucha Bros are in it, and it's called Reach for the Sky ladder match in honor of Jay Briscoe. So that was really nice that they came up with that. I thought that was a really nice way to, keep the belts, I know it's hard, but keep the belts, moving and whatnot. And it's just a nice way to honor Jay as well. So I thought that was phenomenal, and I'm excited to see that for Supercard of Honor in Los Angeles. But ladies and gentlemen, that was Smackdown and Rampage for tonight. I really, truly hope you guys had a good time here on the Friday podcast. It's the most chill podcast of the week. I will be back next week. Tuesday, we got NXT, the fallout from Roadblock. Wednesday, we got AEW in Winnipeg. So that should be I think it's going to be a pretty newsy show. I don't know. I'm feeling it. And then Friday, I will not be here this Friday though, guys. So reminder, I will be at the Taylor Swift concert. So if you guys pop up and you're like, where's Denise? She's dancing somewhere in Glendale, Arizona. So that's basically what's going down. Alrighty, everyone. Have a phenomenal weekend. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.